Hi there, welcome back and thank you for tuning in to Investor Intelligence, brought to you by the team at the Property Mentors. It's your weekly podcast for all things investment. My name is Phoebe Sikowski-Wallace. I am your host, and joining me once again for the last time this year is our very own property/investment expert, Luke Harris. Luke, it's almost 2022. How are you feeling about it?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
I am excited. I'm excited that this year is almost over, and yeah, bring it on, honestly.
It's been a very, very crazy year for a lot of people.
For sure.
Not many of us have come out of 2021 unscathed.
That's right. So coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about something that's very fitting for this time of year, which is goals, resolutions. We're going to be talking a little bit about defining your why and how to be realistic about your goals. And I'm talking about goals more so in the general sense, whether that is to do with investing or not. I feel like the way we approach any goals in any aspect of our lives really should be the same mindset. But Luke, just before we get into that, and given that it is our last episode of 2021, and that December seems to be a bit of a time of reflection, I want to do a little bit of a recap of what we've spoken about so far over the last couple of months, just as a bit of a refresher. How does that sound?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we started off with episode 1 being the 3 types of ready. Now, if someone hadn't listened to our podcast, this would be the episode that I would recommend them first, because it was one of the things that I feel like a lot of people starting out in investing, maybe even people who are experienced with investing, wouldn't realize, but just having the finance behind you isn't the only kind of ready you'd need to be.
Absolutely. Investing's so complex. There's multiple aspects that need to be considered. And of course, being ready with some money in your pocket, burning a hole, isn't the only thing that you need to be a professional investor. And that doesn't mean that you can't go out there and buy a property. But of course, if you want to become a good investor, you need to be aware of all of the different factors that are at play.
100%. Yeah, the emotional one really was a new one for me. You'd never think you'd need to be emotionally ready to get into the investing game.
Well, that can make or break your success in property or any investing, really.
For sure. Now, episode 2, we talked about the kind of common investors there are, and I thought this was a really fun episode going through the common types of investors. And although the descriptions we gave were obviously massive generalizations, but it was such a great way for people to recognize parts of themselves in these types. And it was a really good chance for people to get quite real with themselves.
Yeah, I think without going through that process, a lot of investors are really just going out there and, doing their best, I guess, to get the best results. But, being aware of these things really helps you to sort of assess your investing strategy rather than just going out there and doing the investing.
Yeah, for sure. And it was great to kind of see that there's not just inexperienced and experienced investors. Whether you're experienced or not, you can sit within any of these categories. So episode 3, we talked about the roadmap to success, and I loved this episode because as someone who likes structure and who likes to plan ahead, maybe a little too much sometimes, learning about this roadmap was perfect because it's something that anyone can follow regardless of their goals and their journey, and something that you've been quite honest about is that there is risk involved in ventures like this. And the best thing about having this roadmap and sticking to it is that you always know where you are and you always have something to come back to guide you or to get you back on track if necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Investing is not a smooth sailing ride for most people. It doesn't matter what you're investing in. The safest investment really is sticking your money in the bank. But most people are going backwards from that. So understanding the process and understanding how to really navigate your way through that is a really critical thing to become a successful investor, and really understanding, not only your mindset, but also, what steps are coming up, so that you're not looking at the moment, you're not looking right in the now and today, you're looking, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just speaking of sticking money in the bank, episode 4, we talked about alternative investing strategies, and also a great one. As before, I had no idea about so much of what we talked about. So interest rates, what they're good for, what they're not so good for, getting a loan, which isn't the only option. So we touched on become a lender and wholesale property. And as you mentioned just before, savings in the bank, really doesn't do a hell of a lot for you.
Yeah, that's right. There's alternate investment strategies available that a lot of individual investors don't know about. And of course, even if you did find out about different investment strategies that are a little bit off the mainstream, which is just buying a property and holding on to it, how would you know how to assess it as to whether it's a good investment or not? And obviously we've got processes in place to determine, I guess the good from the bad, and of course the ugly, which is always out there when it comes to investing. And obviously knowing those processes and how to really funnel through the good ones and really weed out the bad ones, that's a skill in itself. And it does take time to really learn how to look at alternate investment strategies and really determine whether they're a good investment, but also whether they're a good investment for you and your long-term plan and strategy.
Yeah, for sure. And then last week we touched on building your team of experts or your core wealth team. And I know this was only last week's episode, but it gave a really great insight to having the right people around you. So look, refresh our memories on why it is important to have the right people around you venturing into investing or into anything for that matter.
Well, really into skydiving, you'd want to go with somebody that's done it before, wouldn't you?
You'd hope so,
yeah. Same thing if you're going to do bungee jumping, you want to make sure somebody knows how to tie a knot. I guess the same thing really with the investing. You need to make sure that you've got the right people around you to really help you with every aspect of your investing. When you're going out there to buy a property, you could be spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of your money investing. And a lot of that is the bank's money, mind you, especially when you're getting started. There's less capital of your own going into the deal. But essentially, you're taking on the risk on behalf of the bank's money to go out there and buy that property. And when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, you need to make sure that you've got a really good team of people around you. And it's not just as simple as getting any old accountant, any old solicitor, any old mortgage broker, or any old property manager to look after the property for you once you've settled on the property. So, going through the process of finding out who are the right people, how to assess whether they're good at what they do, and really, I guess, putting together that expert team is so critical for your success in investing. And it doesn't necessarily mean property investing. Anything that you're investing in, you're going to need all of those experts around you to really help you to build wealth long term. And when you're taking a long-term approach, you really need to build those relationships with those experts so they can really be on board with your goals and what you're trying to achieve long term.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into the main topic of today, which is goals. Now, one of the things that people are doing around this time of year is either setting or resetting or even reassessing their goals. And, that's all well and good to have goals, but that's kind of the easy part. But what I want to talk to you about today, which I'm surprised we haven't actually gone into depth in this topic yet, which is defining your why. And it's actually a scarier word than I sort of anticipated. But talk to me about why it's important to define your why.
Why it's important to define your why. Look, I guess the reason for that is because a lot of people have a really basic understanding of what they want out of their investing and out of life in general. You get up every day, go to work, you read books and magazines and you're looking at the media. Everyone's out there trying to get ahead. And really understanding your why is not just as simple as saying, well, I'd like to retire comfortably. I'd like to have my house paid off. These are really general sort of goals. And we've realized over the years, speaking to thousands and thousands of investors, that that's not really enough for you to wake up and jump out of bed every day, excited to really achieve your goal of having my house paid off. That's not really, doesn't inspire many people. If you go to a barbecue or party over the Christmas break, go and tell your friends and family that your big goal that you really get excited about, I'd like to pay my house off, retire comfortably. Try and have that conversation with some sort of excitement in your voice. It's just not going to happen. So, to get inspired and get excited about your goals and understanding your why is the very first step, because once you understand it and truly understand it and know that it's achievable, you wake up differently every day. Your whole approach to life and your whole approach to investing is very different when you understand the reasons why you get up and go to work, the reasons why you look at investment opportunities, the reasons why you take out mortgages and sign loan documents. All of these things become a lot more clear once you understand the reasons why you're doing it. And believe me, it's so much more exciting when you've identified exactly why you want to do these things. And it doesn't mean, or it's not all about retirement. It's about, these mini wins that you're going to have along the way, the small milestones, every 2 years, every 5 years, every 10 years leading up to retirement. And then, of course, retirement doesn't necessarily mean the end for people anyway. So having the choice to retire is very different from having to retire because you physically and mentally can't work anymore. And a lot of people have the choice to retire much younger than the normal retirement age.
Yeah, I've been at the forefront of these questions with you before, and I'm not going to lie, some were more confronting than others, and it's very interesting to sort of delve into it and go, well, I actually want that goal for a completely different, not just to have the goal, but for a completely different reason. And I just want to go through a couple of the questions that we've been through before, which I think is really good for other people to go through. But you asked me, have you achieved your goals this year? Which I think is really important to reflect on what you have achieved and also what you haven't. And then, do you still have time to achieve them? But the third one, which I think is one of the most confronting, is what would it mean if you didn't achieve them next year? Talk to me through that one.
Yeah, well, look, if you didn't achieve them this year, now's a really good time to sit back and look at why you didn't achieve it. Now, there's a lot of things that, distracted us during 2021, the same things that we had in 2020 that we thought might not be around in 2021. And, COVID's continued right through. And, we can continue to use that as an excuse. And some people have a valid excuse. They may have lost their job or for whatever other reason COVID's, affected them in other ways. But, that's not the only reason people haven't achieved their goals. And the same things apply every single year where people say, well, look, I just didn't get time. I didn't have enough money. I got distracted with, work, or got distracted with my sporting commitments or family, or there's other reasons why. And I say reasons loosely. I often mean excuses. Why? But it also means, you just haven't prioritized your goals this year enough. If something's important to you enough, you're going to make it happen no matter what. There's a huge number of goals that I set out at the start of the year that I've achieved this year, and I'm super proud of being able to tick those off. But I've got a process that I go through to make sure that I'm setting realistic goals that I know I can achieve. I do set goals that are beyond that, so that I'm stretching and going beyond to really make an effort. And I'm not getting complacent with my goals, because it's obviously easy to set easy goals. It's tough to set tough goals. But then, of course, being accountable to somebody is the toughest thing. It's one thing to set goals, but if you're not accountable to anybody, then you might just stick them on the fridge, and by the end of January, they're gone. You throw them in the bin, or just put a phone bill or something on top of them. So I think, looking back at saying 2021, did I achieve everything? Maybe not. Did I achieve some things that I wanted to achieve? Maybe. Can I reset big goals for 2022? And really thinking now and saying, okay, well, we fast forward 12 months, do I want to be in a position where I'm at right now? And do I want to be happy with those results, or am I going to say, damn, I missed another year of trying to get things done? And the thing is that I always teach people is that you can always make money, but you can't get the time back. In 12 months' time, we're all going to be a year older, no matter what. Right? Assuming we're still on the planet, we haven't been abducted by aliens, or we haven't passed away, we're going to be 12 months older no matter what. And so what that means really is that, the time's going to go past. Other people in the next 12 months are going to set massive goals, and they're going to achieve them. Other people are going to set goals and forget about them. And other people are going to give it a go. Hopefully it works out. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Which one are you going to be? If you're looking 12 months from now, you want to be one of those people that says, hey, I set out these massive goals. I didn't achieve all of them, but geez, I set some pretty big goals and I got some good ones ticked off, and be proud of that. And I think that's a really important thing, is to really set those goals. Be accountable to somebody, like having a mentor or somebody by your side that can really keep you motivated and keep you on track. Obviously, you need to be motivated yourself to achieve those goals. It's not your mentor's job to give you a call every week and fire you up. You've got to fire yourself up, right? Your mentor's there to hold your hand, not to do the heavy lifting for you. But essentially, going through that process and setting these goals, now's just a fantastic time to do it. And a lot of people are going to have a break over the Christmas period. Some people are going to be working through, but obviously a lot of us do have a bit of time. After you've gone through the Christmas eating and drinking period, there's usually a few days in between where you get a chance to, really have some time off and reflect on what you've done for the year.
Yeah, I like that idea of, a lot of people use the time of New Year's to set their goals then, but they can also do it now. You shouldn't always have to just pigeonhole your goals into just next year. You can start doing things now. And if you start doing things now as opposed to in 2 weeks' time when there won't really be much of a difference, if anything, you're going to get what you want sooner.
Well, the thing is, New Year's resolutions are really, they're talked about a lot. And you talk about through January, you catch up, in January with your friends that you may not have seen for a while. And you say, have you set any New Year's resolutions? And what are the typical New Year's resolutions, Phoebe, that you hear from people?
I want to lose weight. I want to read more. I feel like they're the two main ones that I hear.
Yeah, losing weight typically after Christmas is people's goal. They say, this year is going to be the year that I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose 10 kilos or whatever it is. I'm going to train more. I'm going to go to the gym more, go running more, do more swimming. A lot of those are fitness-based, health-based goals. But of course, some people have got a goal. They want to pay off their debt, their credit card. They want to pay off. They want to pay off their car, travel more. A lot of these goals they're nice goals to have. Traveling more, great. But without knowing the location and when you want to go, it's not really something that you're going to be aiming for because you don't even know where you're going. You don't know when you want to go. You just want to travel more in 2022. So narrow it down. Where do you want to go? When? Are you allowed to go? These things really help to actually write it down so that you can actually visualize it and you can actually see it. Without writing it down, it all stays in your head, right? And when it stays in your head, nobody else is going to see it. So if you don't achieve it, nobody knows.
That's right.
So this is the whole idea of writing it down means that other people can see it. Share your goals with other people. Have some accountability with those goals. If they're important to you, then share it with other people.
And if you share with Luke that you want to go to Japan next year, he will afterwards send you a screenshot of all these flights to Japan to make sure that it happens.
Absolutely. And there's going to be a lot of price wars with the airlines over the next 6 to 12 months, specifically the first 3 months of that. I think it's going to really gear up for a lot of price wars for airlines. So if overseas travel is on your radar, then one of those things that you could do is really put that down as a goal, set some dates around that, and book your flights. Like I said, Phoebe, if you want to plan a holiday for next year, the first part is locking in the dates, and then you can start looking for cheap airfares. Go and lock in your airfares, and then that part of it's done.
Exactly.
And then it becomes real. I think the key thing with a lot of people is that they might talk about this stuff in January and New Year's, and their goals are really flexible. Well, if I don't achieve it, I can do it later. And that doesn't help. Most successful people set goals. They're accountable to somebody. They've got the date and the dollars on it, like we talk about in the book, Let's Get Real. The dream, the date, and the dollars. So start off your New Year's by writing that down. Get a big sheet of paper. Write dream, date, and dollars, which is what is my goal? What is the dream? Mm-hmm. What date do I want to achieve it? Or when do I want to go away on a holiday, if it's specifically on a holiday? Dollars, how much money do I need to achieve that goal? Then it may not even be money. Reading more books. It doesn't need any money. Go and get a library card. Go and get some books. You're done. Right? But finding those things that really are important to you, that's your life. As I said, a year from now, you're going to be a year older. 5 years from now, 5 years older. 10 years from now, 10 years older. The time slips away no matter what. So if you're not going to do these goals in 2022, if you're not going to achieve them in 2022, when are you going to achieve them? And that's a good question to ask yourself. When am I going to do it? If next year, if 2021 wasn't the year and 2022 is not the year, when am I going to do it? No one's going to do it for you.
Yeah, that's right. So I know we're talking about goals, and this is somewhat relevant, but I want to ask you this question because I think this is a question that you get asked a lot, and I really like your answer to it. Luke, when is the best time to invest?
The best time to invest is when you're financially, emotionally, and educationally ready. Once you know what your plan is, once you've got your plan and strategy mapped out, when you know why you're investing, that's the best time to invest. The second best time to invest is yesterday.
That's the answer I was looking for. So, Luke, to wrap up the year, is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with?
It's been an interesting year as far as property is concerned. There's been a lot of really hot markets around the country. Our members here at the Property Mentors have purchased tens of millions of dollars worth of property in the last 12 months, and we're really proud of our members that have achieved those results and really helped to build their portfolios this year. Our property management team has had a few milestones. We've had some new staff start in the property management team as well, which is fantastic, which we're really looking forward to helping them again in 2022. And of course, there's going to be some changes in property in the next 12 months. There's going to be a little bit of volatility. There's going to be some hot markets that are overpriced, and certainly a lot of people should be getting out of those markets and certainly not buying any more into those markets. Interest rates is going to be a hot topic for next year. We've got a federal election coming up as well. So it's going to be an interesting year as far as property for 2022. I'm really excited about the opportunities that that's going to present and the properties that I'll be able to buy into 2022. And I think that for those investors that are really looking to take some action and really get some runs on the board, 2022 is going to be a fantastic year. So highly recommend getting in touch with the Mentor team. If you're an existing member, fantastic. Start booking in your annual review session for January so that we can reassess your goals and go through that process. If you haven't become a member of the Property Mentors, obviously end of year, start of a new year, it's a fantastic time to really have that conversation with somebody about, realigning what you've been doing with your investing, or if you're just getting started out, how to actually get started safely and carefully without actually, taking any massive risks, but really understanding the reason why, as we've discussed on the call today.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year. There's going to be lots to talk about. And just to wrap up on my end, I just want to say that coming in as an absolute beginner, a couple of months ago, knowing next to nothing about any of the topics we talked about, I truly thought it was going to take me a hell of a lot longer to wrap my head around it. But I've honestly felt more and more knowledgeable every time we've spoken, and there's obviously still a long way to go as well. But you can never stop learning, as we keep saying, and massive props to you, Luke. This is definitely a reflection on how clearly and concisely you've explained everything. So thank you so much for that.
Glad you've enjoyed it, and really, Phoebe, you've done a fantastic job with this podcast. We're really looking forward to next year. For those that haven't, this is the first podcast you've listened to. Like the podcast, share it with your friends and family, because obviously the more support we can get for the podcast, the more fantastic guests and people that we can have to come on and speak for you all. And we're really excited. We've got some big things planned for Investor Intelligence in 2022. Yeah,
we've definitely got some exciting guests coming up. So if you would like to know any more about us here at the Property Mentors, you can visit our website, thepropertymentors.com.au. As I said, I know a common New Year's goal for a lot of people is to read more, and there just happens to be a great book that you should add to that list, which is Luke's latest book, Property Fit, especially if you want to widen your investing knowledge and help achieve any of the goals that you have. To get your hands on a copy of that, you can go to propertyfitbook.com.au, which is linked in our show notes, along with all of our socials. Thank you so much for listening. And on behalf of the team here at the Property Mentors, we hope you had a lovely Christmas and have a wonderful New Year's. And Luke, I'll see you in the new year.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas to all, and stay safe.